This is 5 on your side at 5. Focused on you.
Today, Missouri's governor signed a bill adding a third lane to Interstate 70 across most of the state. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Bush.
I'm Kelly Jackson. It will be several years before this project is completed. The work stretches all the way from Wentzville to Blue Springs near the Kansas City area. 5 on your side's Diamond Palmer talked to people today who say it's long overdue.
Business owners in Forestell aren't shy when it comes to talking about Interstate 70.
Bring it on, hurry up.
It's nonstop every day and accidents all the time.
On a highway that dates back to August 13th, 1956. For 67 years, Missouri drivers have driven on an interstate that connects the state's largest cities with 2 lanes on both sides. Governor Mike Parson says Monday marked a new stage.
I don't know how many of us have talked about I-70 for years and years, me especially in the legislative branch and before. We got to do something, we got to do something. I'm telling you today, we've done something.
Governor Parson held a ceremony in Forestell Monday to sign a bill that expands the interstate to 3 lanes on both sides across much of the state, costing $2.8 billion.
Right now, for business owners, they say that safety is the biggest concern along Interstate 70. Accidents happen often, shutting down lanes for hours at a time.
Right in front of our shop and over the top of the hill, probably twice a week there's an accident.
People moving out to this area, they're wanting to get away from the city, come out here where it's a little bit more, they think it's more laid back, but it's tough, with the traffic, and the infrastructure just isn't quite here yet for it.
Construction on the interstate is expected to take 4 to 5 years and is also expected to be one of the largest projects in the state's history. Diamond Palmer, 5 on your side.
And MoDOT is holding public meetings in our area later this month so people can learn more about the I-70 expansion. There is one in Wentzville, August 28th at Wentzville City Hall. The second is in Warrenton, August 29th at the Warren County Administration Building. Both meetings are from 4 to 6 p.m.
Now to a developing story out of St. Charles, where the city has shut down its last well at the Elm Point well field. That's after a drop in ammonia, which helps disinfect the water. The city has asked the EPA to investigate why the ammonia levels dropped. Earlier this year, the city shut down all the other wells over contamination from an Ameren substation. St. Charles is now relying completely on St. Louis City to supply its water. Well, today, local grocery chain Fields Foods temporarily closed another store. It's the 3rd location that is closed in less than a month.
Justina Cornell was at the Dogtown location earlier today. She's in studio with reaction to this. Justina?
Yeah, Mike and Kelly. So the Dogtown location is the latest store to put its operations on pause. Now, Field Foods made similar announcements in July for a store in Pagedale and another near Forest Park. Owner Chris Goodson spoke to our partners at the St. Louis Business Journal earlier this week. He acknowledged employees had been laid off and stores had closed amid lawsuits over back rent and taxes. Goodson said he's trying to sell Field Foods to an employee ownership group. Now, this morning, some Dogtown residents were stopped by a sign on the door. It read, "The store will temporarily pause today." Our store will reopen in a few short weeks after transition to new ownership and re-merchandising. While I was there, I spoke to 2 longtime residents outside the store.
It's a nice asset, especially, all these apartments and stuff. I see a lot of people that come here that don't have cars too.
I'm glad that it's not just closing, that they're actually trying to take over and do something and move it forward.
Now, while the sign stopped shoppers in their tracks, they weren't entirely surprised. I'm told the shelves at the Dogtown store was starting to look bare. Now, we also checked 2 other locations that are still open, and that scarcity was also seen throughout those stores.
All right, thanks, Justina. Heavy rain caused flash flooding today in southeast Missouri. This is what it looked like in Bollinger County. 6 to 8 inches of rain fell in a matter of hours. Missouri State Highway Patrol had rescue boats out to help people get to safety. Well, the rain is out of our area, and we're in for some dry time.
We could use it. Let's check in with Weather First meteorologist Gary Frank. Gary.
Well, you know how it works, right? We go dry for so many months and then rain, 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 and that's what we saw last night. We missed the heaviest of the rain south of Farmington. You can see that strip of 5+ inches of rain, and we got actually just a nice, decent amount of rain. It has come and gone, and now the wind has picked up out of the west-northwest. A few clouds still hanging around. You can see our visible satellite. After that rain moved through, we had sun come out right after noon. We warmed up, and now we have more clouds on the way, and they'll settle in just a little bit. You'll see some probably nice shadows as the sun sets, but temperatures right now at 81 degrees. The wind has picked up. It's out of the west-northwest, sustained at 17 miles an hour, but the humidity has come down significantly. We have gusts upwards of 30 miles an hour in some places. That's what we can expect the next few hours. As we head into the overnight hours, expect some fog to develop even as the wind settles down, especially as the wind settles down. But that's going to be indicative of the next couple of days. Much cooler weather and near record lows for some of us. We'll talk about when our temperatures go back up and it feels more like August.
Gary, thanks. Today, St. Louis released a list of ideas the public has for one of the city's former jails, also known as the workhouse. Some of the ideas include an industrial site, renewable energy, a memorial or museum, animal shelter, recreation site, or returning the land to native tribes. There will be another survey soon to narrow down the choices, and then a committee will present them to city leaders for a final decision.
A new report shows a startling rise in overall homelessness across the city of St. Louis.
The new numbers show that even as the city expands shelter bed capacity, the demand for those beds is growing even faster. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, has a look at those numbers. Mark.
Mike and Kelly, homeless statistics offer us a sobering overview of the impact of extreme poverty. And we're getting our first look at a report card of sorts that shows the city of St. Louis struggling in 2023. The providers who offer resources to people in need set a goal last year to see at least 5% fewer chronic homeless and fewer homeless families. Instead, the number of families without a home is up 11%. Chronic or long-term homelessness up 13%. And the number of homeless people who can't find shelter up 36%. Homeless people who can't find shelter is up 7%. And the number of homeless people who can find shelter is also higher, 9%. Homeless veterans, that's up 10% overall. But there is one big bright spot in these numbers. The number of unsheltered veterans down 57%, a sign the city is making marked improvements in one key category.
The VA has been working its butt off to serve people who have served, and many of my colleagues, I think that they would be very proud of that. They work really hard to meet those folks' needs. There's different resources that are available to veterans, and so sometimes, there's a little bit more elbow grease that can go into that from a funding perspective.
That's Tim Huffman, a SLU professor and expert in homelessness. Tonight at 6, a closer look at why all this is happening. Experts say some of the pandemic-era social supports are fading away, and that's feeding into this problem. Plus, a preview of a funding fight ahead as homeless shelters try to pry control of federal HUD funds out of the city's hands.
Back to school season is here. Students returned in East St. Louis today. Staff and leaders were there to greet students with encouraging signs as they got off the bus and headed into the building.
This is the first day of school, and we wanted them to know that we care and that showing up is half the battle.
There are more schools in the Metro East starting this week, including Belleville Township, Edwardsville District 7, and Collinsville District 10. And for everything you need to know about going back to school, just text the word school to 314-425-5355.
A search in Hawaii following deadly wildfires. Tonight, there are new questions about the lack of a warning for residents.
Another possible indictment for former President Trump, the charges Georgia state prosecutors are seeking.
And a hidden ingredient could be harming your pet. We verify why you'll want to read the label on your peanut butter.